If you get emotional every time life pushes you, life controls you. And life will push you. It will test your patience in traffic. It will test your pride in conversations. It will test your confidence in silence. It will test your strength when things don't go your way. A single message, a single comment, a single look from someone you care about, and suddenly your mood shifts. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts spiral. Now your entire day is different. That's how subtle it is. That's how power slips away. Most people think strength means reacting fast, speaking up, defending yourself, proving a point, winning the moment. But real strength is quieter than that. Real strength is when you feel everything and still choose not to be controlled by it. Being unbothered doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're cold, and it doesn't mean you're passive. It means your inner state is no longer at the mercy of external events. That is power. Because here's the truth, life will not stop testing you. People will misunderstand you. Plans will fall apart. Someone will disrespect you. Something will not go the way you expected. The question is not whether you will be tested. The question is, will you stay centered when you are? In this audiobook, we are not going to teach you how to avoid pressure. We are not going to promise a life without conflict. And we are definitely not going to encourage you to suppress your emotions. Instead, we are going to train something far more valuable. We are going to train your response. Over the next 90 minutes, you will learn how to create space between stimulus and reaction, how to stop taking everything personally, and how to detach without disconnecting, how to protect your energy like a leader, and how to become the calmest person in the room, even when the room is chaotic. This is not about becoming numb. It is about becoming stable. There is a difference. Numbness shuts down feeling. Stability holds feeling without losing direction. Most people live in reaction mode. They are triggered by notifications, opinions, delays, and inconveniences. Their mood is determined by what happens around them. If someone praises them, they rise. If someone criticizes them, they fall. If something goes wrong, they panic. If something goes right, they relax. Their emotional state is constantly negotiated by the outside world, and that is exhausting. When you learn to stay unbothered, something shifts. You stop chasing validation. You stop defending every comment. You stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided what they believe. You stop arguing just to protect your ego, and you begin to conserve your energy. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to observe instead of absorb. That is when clarity grows, because when you are no longer flooded by emotional noise, you can actually think. You can actually choose. You can actually act with intention instead of impulse. Staying unbothered is not about winning arguments. It's about winning your mind back. It's about realizing that not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment deserves your explanation. Not every situation deserves your emotion. Some things deserve your silence. Some moments deserve your pause. And some people deserve your distance. You will still feel anger. You will still feel disappointment. You will still feel frustration. But you will no longer let those feelings dictate your behavior. That is the difference between maturity and impulse, between leadership and chaos, between power and weakness. Throughout this journey, each chapter will challenge a common emotional habit that keeps you reactive. We will examine the need to be understood, the urge to defend yourself, the addiction to closure, the discomfort of silence, the fear of being judged, and one by one, we will dismantle them, not through hype, through awareness, through discipline, through practice. Because calm is not a personality trait, it is a trained response, and when you train it long enough, something powerful happens. You walk into a room and you are not scanning for approval. You hear criticism and you are not instantly defensive. You face uncertainty and you are not mentally collapsing. You remain steady. That steadiness becomes your edge. In a loud world, the calm person stands out. In emotional chaos, the grounded person leads. In moments of tension, the unbothered person sees clearly. That can be you. But only if you decide that your internal world matters more than external noise. Only if you decide that your peace is not for sale. Only if you decide that not every test deserves your reaction. This is your training, not to be cold, not to be distant, but to be in control. Slow down your thoughts, and prepare to learn how to stay unbothered, even when life tries its hardest to move you. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop taking everything personally. Someone doesn't reply to your message. Your mind immediately fills in the blanks. They're ignoring me. They don't respect me. I must have said something wrong. And just like that, a simple delay becomes a story. A story becomes emotion. Emotion becomes reaction. This is where most emotional instability begins. Not in what happens, but in the meaning we attach to what happens. Taking things personally is automatic. It feels natural. The human mind is wired to interpret events through the lens of self. It constantly asks, "What does this mean about me?" But there is a deeper truth. Most of what people say and do has very little to do with you. It has to do with their mood, their stress, their insecurities, their upbringing, and their unresolved struggles. Yet when we personalize their behavior, we internalize their chaos. And that is the beginning of losing control. Imagine this. Two co-workers receive the exact same criticism from their manager. The first thinks, "He believes I'm incompetent." The second thinks, "He's under pressure. Let me find what's useful in this feedback." Same words, different interpretation, different emotional outcome. The first goes home frustrated, replaying the conversation all night. The second adjusts, improves, and moves forward. The difference wasn't intelligence. It was emotional distance. When you take everything personally, you give other people control over your internal state. A random comment can shift your mood. A small misunderstanding can ruin your day. A stranger's opinion can trigger self-doubt. Life becomes a series of emotional negotiations, but when you stop personalizing everything, something powerful happens. You observe instead of absorb. You begin to understand that someone's tone reflects their state of mind, not your worth. Someone's disagreement reflects perspective, not rejection. Someone's silence reflects their priorities, not your value. This shift does not happen overnight. It requires conscious awareness. Here is a practical exercise. The next time you feel triggered, pause and ask yourself, what else could this mean? Force your mind to create at least 3 alternative explanations that have nothing to do with you. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they misunderstood. Maybe they're distracted. This simple habit weakens emotional impulsiveness. It inserts logic where ego usually takes over. Because most emotional reactions are ego-driven. The ego wants validation. The ego wants to be right. The ego wants to be seen. The ego wants respect. And when it doesn't receive those things, it reacts. But maturity begins when you realize something uncomfortable. Not everything requires your defense. Not everything requires your explanation. Not everything requires your emotion. There is strength in selective engagement. A calm person does not respond to every invitation to react. Let's go deeper. Why do we take things personally in the first place? At its core, it is about identity. When someone criticizes your idea, you may hear criticism of your intelligence. When someone questions your decision, you may hear doubt about your capability. When someone ignores you, you may hear rejection of your presence. You merge behavior with identity. And when identity feels threatened, emotion rises. To stay unbothered, you must separate behavior from self-worth. You are not your last mistake. You are not someone's opinion. You are not defined by one moment. When you understand this both intellectually and emotionally, your reactions begin to soften. There is a story about a senior executive who rarely reacted in meetings, even when challenged aggressively. One day, a junior employee asked him how he stayed so composed. He answered simply, "If I reacted to every tone in this room, I would never make decisions. I listen for information, not emotion. That's the difference." He filtered signal from noise. When someone raised their voice, he did not interpret it as disrespect. He interpreted it as intensity. When someone criticized a plan, he did not hear an attack. He heard data. He separated content from ego. That separation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained. Start small. If someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of thinking, "They disrespected me," think, "They're probably in a hurry." If someone doesn't invite you somewhere, instead of thinking, They excluded me. Think, it may not have anything to do with me. Will this always be true? Not necessarily. But here's the important part. Even if it is about you, reacting emotionally rarely improves the situation. It simply transfers instability from them to you. Staying unbothered is not about being naive. It's about being strategic with your emotional energy. Every time you choose not to personalize something, you conserve strength. You keep your nervous system steady. You maintain clarity. And clarity is power. Chapter 2. Build the space between feeling and reaction. There is a moment, small and almost invisible, between what happens and how you respond. Most people never notice it. Someone says something sharp. Your chest tightens. Words rise to your mouth, and before you think, you react. That entire process can happen in less than a second, but inside that second is your power. When you don't control that space, your reactions become automatic, instinctive, emotional, and often regrettable. When you train that space, your responses become deliberate, calm, and strategic. The difference between reacting and responding is time. Reaction is immediate, response is intentional, and the ability to create even a few seconds of space between emotion and action can change the direction of your life. Think about the last time you regretted something you said. Chances are it wasn't planned, it was triggered. An argument escalated, a tone felt disrespectful, an assumption felt unfair. So you fired back. Maybe you raised your voice. Maybe you sent a message you later wished you hadn't. Maybe you shut down completely. All because there was no pause. The nervous system is designed for survival, not for leadership. When it perceives threat, even social threat, it prepares you to defend yourself. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, your thoughts narrow. In that state, you're not thinking clearly, you are reacting. To stay unbothered, you must retrain this pattern. You must teach your mind and body that not every emotional surge requires immediate action. Start with this simple rule, the 3-second pause. When triggered, do nothing for 3 seconds. No speaking, no texting, no visible reaction. Just breathe. Inhale slowly, exhale slowly. Those 3 seconds interrupt the automatic cycle. They signal to your nervous system that you are safe, that you are choosing. It sounds simple, but it is powerful. Because once you pause, you gain access to a new question. What outcome do I want here? Not, how do I defend myself? Not, how do I win? Not, how do I prove them wrong? But, what outcome serves me best? That shift changes everything. Imagine a heated meeting at work. Someone challenges your idea in front of others. Your ego wants to snap back. Your pride wants to correct them immediately. But instead of reacting, you pause, you breathe, then you respond calmly. That's an interesting point. Let's explore that. Immediately, the energy changes. You didn't escalate. You didn't collapse. You controlled the tone. That control builds authority. People respect the person who can stay steady under pressure. Not the loudest, not the fastest, the steadiest. Creating space also protects you from manipulation. Some people provoke intentionally. They test boundaries. They push buttons to see what they can control. If they can trigger you easily, they own you. If they cannot move you emotionally, they lose leverage. That is why composure is power. But let's be honest, pausing is uncomfortable. When emotion rises, it feels urgent. It demands expression. It convinces you that if you don't react immediately, you're weak. That urgency is an illusion. Emotion is a wave. It rises, it peaks, it falls. If you ride it without acting on it, it passes. If you act at the peak, you amplify it. There was a man who trained himself to delay every emotional email by 24 hours. If he felt angry, he would write the message but never send it immediately. The next day, he would reread it. Most of the time, he deleted it. Why? Because the emotion that felt overwhelming in the moment had faded. Time created clarity. You can apply the same principle in smaller ways. Delay your reply. Step away from the room. Lower your voice instead of raising it. Each of these actions reinforces the same message to yourself. I choose how I respond. Over time, this becomes part of your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who simply reacts. You begin seeing yourself as someone who stays composed. Identity shapes behavior. If you believe you are calm, you act calmly. If you believe you are impulsive, you act impulsively. So begin reinforcing a new identity through small, controlled moments. Pause before answering a difficult question. Pause before responding to criticism. Pause before making a decision while emotional. This does not mean suppressing emotion. It means allowing emotion to exist without giving it control. There is a critical distinction here. Suppression pushes emotion down. It pretends it isn't there. Regulation acknowledges emotion, but chooses timing. You might still address the issue. You might still set boundaries. You might still disagree strongly, but you do it from steadiness, not from emotional surge. That steadiness communicates confidence. It says, I am not threatened. And when you are not threatened, you think better. Your words become clearer. Your posture becomes relaxed. Your tone becomes measured. All because you trained a few seconds of space. Life will continue to test you. People will continue to say things that challenge you. Situations will continue to surprise you. You cannot control the trigger, but you can control the gap. And inside that gap lives your discipline. Inside that gap lives your power. Inside that gap lives the difference between chaos and control. The more you expand that space, the more unbothered you become. Not because nothing affects you, but because nothing controls you instantly anymore. And that is the beginning of emotional mastery. Chapter 3. Let people misunderstand you. One of the strongest emotional triggers in life is this: being misunderstood. Someone misinterprets your intentions. Someone assumes something about you that isn't true. Someone forms an opinion without knowing the full story. And something inside you tightens. You want to clarify. You want to correct. You want to defend yourself. Because misunderstanding feels like injustice. But here is a difficult truth. If you need everyone to understand you in order to stay calm, you will never stay calm. There will always be people who see you through their own lens, their experiences, their biases, their insecurities, their expectations. And you cannot control that lens. Trying to control it will exhaust you. Think about how much energy is spent explaining yourself to people who have already decided what they believe. You replay conversations in your head. You craft perfect responses while standing in the shower. You imagine future arguments just to clear your name. All of that consumes mental space, and most of the time, it changes nothing. Because misunderstanding is not always caused by a lack of information. Sometimes it comes from a lack of willingness. Some people do not want clarity. They want confirmation of their existing narrative. When you understand this, something shifts. You stop chasing approval disguised as explanation. You stop over-explaining your choices. You stop defending your boundaries to people who never respected them. Letting people misunderstand you is uncomfortable. It feels like surrender, but it is actually strength, because you are choosing peace over ego. There is a quiet confidence in someone who does not rush to correct every assumption. It signals stability. It says, I know who I am. Your opinion does not redefine me. That doesn't mean you never clarify anything. Context matters. Relationships matter. Communication matters. But the key question is this: am I explaining for clarity, or am I explaining to protect my ego? If it is ego, pause. The need to be understood by everyone is rooted in insecurity. It suggests that your sense of self depends on external validation. True composure comes from internal validation. You know your intentions. You know your effort. You know your integrity. Not everyone else needs to. Imagine someone at work assumes you're distant because you don't talk much. They see your quiet nature and interpret it as arrogance. You could spend weeks trying to reshape their perception. You could force conversations, smile more than feels natural, and share more than you normally would. Or you could remain steady. Continue doing your work well. Continue showing professionalism. Allow consistency to speak on your behalf. Over time, truth tends to reveal itself through behavior, and if it doesn't, you can still remain at peace because you didn't abandon your authentic self simply to manage someone else's opinion. There is freedom in that. The more energy you spend trying to control how everyone sees you, the more fragmented you become. You begin adjusting your tone, your personality, and your opinions depending on who is watching. That fragmentation creates anxiety. But when you accept that misunderstanding is unavoidable, you begin to relax. You stop performing. You stop scanning the room for reactions. You stop reshaping yourself to avoid judgment. And ironically, that authenticity often earns greater respect. Calm people do not rush to defend their image. They understand something important. Reputation is built through patterns, not explanations. If you consistently live according to your values, temporary misunderstandings lose their power. They come and go. Let's look deeper. Why does being misunderstood hurt so much? Because human beings are wired for belonging. When someone misjudges you, it can feel like rejection. It can feel like a break in connection. But this is where maturity enters. Not every connection is meant to last. Not every opinion deserves correction. Not every relationship deserves that level of emotional investment. Part of staying unbothered is learning selective care. Care deeply about what truly matters. Care less about what doesn't. If someone important to you misunderstands you and is open to conversation, explain calmly. If someone with little impact on your life misunderstands you and refuses to listen, let it go. Your energy is limited. Use it wisely. There is another layer to this. Sometimes we over-explain because we are uncertain about our own decisions. If you constantly feel the need to justify yourself, ask, do I fully stand behind this choice? When your internal clarity is strong, external doubt loses much of its influence. You do not need everyone to agree with you. You only need alignment with yourself. There was a woman who changed careers later in life. Many people questioned her decision. Some said she was unrealistic. Others claimed she was irresponsible. At first, she constantly defended herself. She tried to convince everyone that she had a solid plan. Eventually, she stopped explaining. She focused on learning. She focused on building. She focused on improving. Years later, many of the same people who doubted her praised her courage. But by then, she no longer needed their approval. She had already built confidence from within. Letting people misunderstand you requires trust. Trust in your character, trust in your path, trust in time. Not every accusation deserves a response. Not every rumor deserves correction. Not every criticism deserves confrontation. Sometimes silence is not weakness, it is discipline. It quietly says, I do not need to argue for my existence. When you reach that point, emotional triggers begin to lose their power. You are no longer easily disturbed by opinions. You are no longer shaken by assumptions. You are no longer desperate to control how others perceive you. You move differently, more grounded, more centered, more unbothered, and that stability becomes magnetic. Because in a world obsessed with image management, the person who is secure enough to let misunderstandings pass naturally stands out. Not loud, not defensive, simply steady, and steadiness is power. Chapter 4. Master the art of emotional detachment. Detachment is one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal growth. People often hear the word and imagine someone who is cold, distant, uncaring, or emotionless. But genuine emotional detachment is none of those things. It is the ability to feel without becoming controlled by what you feel. It is the ability to care without clinging. It is the ability to engage fully without losing yourself. Most people do not suffer because emotions exist. They suffer because they become fused with those emotions. Anger arrives and they become anger. Jealousy appears and they become jealousy. Disappointment enters and they become disappointment. There is no separation, and when emotion becomes identity, stability disappears. Emotional detachment begins with one simple realization: you are not your emotions. Emotions are experiences moving through you. They are signals, they are information, they are temporary waves, but they are not your essence. Imagine standing on a shoreline watching waves roll in. Some waves are gentle, Some are powerful, some are chaotic, yet the ocean itself remains. You are the ocean. Your emotions are the waves. When you identify with every wave, you are constantly thrown around. When you observe the wave, you remain steady. That is detachment. Let's make it practical. Imagine feeling anger rise during a disagreement. Instead of saying, "I am angry," say to yourself, "Anger is present." That small shift in language creates psychological distance. "I am angry" feels permanent, personal, identity-based. "Anger is present" feels temporary, observable, manageable. You are witnessing the emotion rather than becoming it. This skill completely changes how you experience conflict. Without detachment, conflict feels threatening, personal, emotionally overwhelming. With detachment, conflict becomes information. You evaluate the tone, you examine the words, you consider the context. You ask, what is actually happening here? Instead of, why am I being attacked? That shift immediately lowers emotional intensity. There is a story about a martial artist known for remaining calm during intense sparring sessions. When people asked how he stayed composed under pressure, he explained, "I don't see my opponent as an enemy. I see movement. I respond to movement." He removed the personal narrative. He didn't think, "He's trying to hurt me." He thought, "There is movement. I will adjust." Emotional detachment works the same way. Instead of thinking, "They disrespected me," you think, "There was a tone I didn't appreciate." Instead of, "They betrayed me," you think, "Their behavior did not match my expectations." The difference seems small, but it transforms the entire experience. Detachment also protects you from emotional overinvestment. When your happiness depends entirely on one outcome, one person, or one source of validation, your peace becomes fragile. If things go well, you feel elevated. If things go badly, you feel devastated. Detachment allows you to pursue goals with intensity while refusing to attach your identity to the outcome. You can want something deeply. You simply do not make your worth dependent upon it. There is tremendous power in wanting without needing. Neediness creates anxiety. Detachment creates calm effort. You prepare thoroughly. You show up fully. You give your best. And if things do not work out, you adjust. Not because you don't care, but because your identity is not being judged by the result. One of the most difficult places to practice detachment is within relationships. When someone pulls away, becomes distant, or changes their behavior, the instinct is often to chase clarity, to demand explanations, to seek reassurance. But chasing usually increases instability. Detachment says, "I will communicate honestly, I will observe what follows, and I will decide accordingly." It replaces desperation with self-respect. It does not mean you care less about the person. It means you also care about your emotional stability. Another important form of detachment is separating yourself from immediate emotional gratification. When stress rises, you may feel the urge to vent instantly, to post something impulsively, to send a message, to make a dramatic decision. Detachment encourages patience. It asks, will this action help me in the long run? If the answer is no, you wait. That pause protects your future self. Emotional detachment is not emotional suppression. Suppression denies emotion. Detachment acknowledges emotion fully while choosing the right time and method of response. You can feel anger and still choose calm words. You can feel disappointment and still choose constructive action. You can feel hurt and still choose dignity. That is emotional mastery. The more you practice detachment, the more stable you become. You stop getting pulled into every emotional exchange. You stop absorbing other people's moods. You stop feeling obligated to mirror the energy around you. Someone raises their voice. You lower yours. Someone reacts dramatically. You remain steady. Someone tries to provoke you. You stay composed. That contrast creates authority, because in a reactive world, the person who remains non-reactive often appears the most powerful. Detachment also improves decision-making. Strong emotions narrow your perception. They create tunnel vision and make it difficult to see the bigger picture. When you practice detachment, your perspective expands. You begin noticing broader patterns. You start thinking beyond the immediate moment. Instead of asking, "How do I win this moment?" you begin asking, "What outcome serves me best in the long run?" That shift in perspective prevents impulsive decisions. It prevents unnecessary regret. And perhaps most importantly, it builds trust within yourself. When you know you won't sabotage yourself emotionally, confidence naturally increases. You trust your reactions. You trust your patience. You trust your self-control. And that trust reduces anxiety dramatically. Because much of anxiety comes from fearing your own instability. When you master detachment, emotional waves no longer scare you. You know they will pass. You know you can handle them. You know you won't be consumed by them. And that knowledge creates calm. Detachment is not about disconnecting from life. It is about participating in life without losing yourself in it. You still experience joy. You still experience excitement. You still experience love. But you do not cling, you do not panic, you do not spiral, you remain centered. And that center becomes your anchor whenever life tests you. The goal is not to eliminate emotion. The goal is to become larger than it. When you become larger than your emotions, external circumstances lose much of their power over you. You are no longer tossed around by every emotional wave. You remain grounded, present, unbothered. And that is emotional strength in its purest form. Chapter 5. Stop needing closure from everyone. One of the most underestimated emotional traps in life is the need for closure. You want the explanation, you want the apology, you want the final conversation that makes everything make sense. You want a clean ending. But life rarely provides clean endings. Sometimes people leave without explanation, sometimes arguments end without resolution, sometimes betrayal arrives without confession. And the human mind struggles with unfinished stories. It replays conversations. It imagines alternate endings. It creates scenarios where justice is finally served, because uncertainty feels uncomfortable, and the need for closure often feels like a way to regain control. But here is the truth. When your peace depends on someone else giving you closure, your peace becomes fragile. Closure is not something another person grants you. It is something you choose for yourself. Think about how much emotional energy is spent waiting for an apology that may never come. You wait for them to realize what they did. You wait for them to admit fault. You wait for acknowledgement. Meanwhile, your mind remains stuck. You stay mentally connected to someone who may have already moved on. That attachment drains your stability. Staying unbothered requires a different approach. You stop waiting for others to validate your experience. You validate it yourself. You acknowledge that hurt. That was unfair. That was not aligned with my values. And then you decide how to move forward without needing them to agree. Closure is often mistaken for a conversation, but genuine closure is acceptance. Acceptance that it happened, acceptance that it may never be fully resolved, acceptance that you cannot control another person's awareness. Once you reach acceptance, the emotional charge begins to fade. You stop feeling the constant urge to revisit the past. You release the expectation that everything must be repaired. This does not mean you ignore boundaries. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, you can create distance. If someone lies to you, you can withdraw trust. If someone crosses an important line, you can remove their access to your life. But you do not need a perfect explanation before taking action. You do not need them to understand why. You act from clarity rather than desperation. Let's examine why the need for closure feels so powerful. Often it is connected to ego and identity. If someone leaves without explanation, it may feel like rejection. If someone betrays you, it may feel humiliating. If someone abruptly ends a relationship, it may feel as though you were not enough. As a result, the mind begins searching for answers to protect its sense of self. But there is a deeper layer. Even if you receive the explanation you want, it rarely removes the emotional pain entirely. Because the pain was never just about the explanation. It was about attachment. Attachment to expectations. Attachment to a specific outcome. Attachment to how you believed events should have unfolded. This is where detachment becomes essential. You can desire clarity without requiring it. You can prefer resolution without depending on it. There is a story about a business partnership that ended suddenly. One partner felt betrayed and demanded answers. The other avoided confrontation and left with very little explanation. For months, the first partner obsessed over what had happened. He replayed conversations repeatedly. He drafted messages he never sent. He waited for acknowledgement. Eventually, he realized something important. No explanation would change the outcome. The partnership was already over. The only thing still alive was his attachment to the story. Once he accepted that reality, he redirected his energy toward rebuilding. Not because he understood everything, but because he stopped waiting. That shift set him free. Closure often becomes an emotional excuse to remain mentally attached. You tell yourself that you just need one more conversation, one more text, one more clarification. But often, what you actually need is a decision to move forward even without every answer. Life constantly tests you with ambiguity. Can you remain steady without certainty? Can you accept that not everything resolves neatly? Can you let go without receiving a dramatic ending? This is emotional maturity. You stop chasing final chapters written by other people. You begin writing your own continuation. There is another important layer to understand. Not every situation requires deep emotional analysis. Sometimes people act from their own limitations. Sometimes they lack communication skills. Sometimes they avoid accountability. Recognizing that does not require you to fix them. It simply requires you to adjust your distance. Distance can be closure. Silence can be closure. Acceptance can be closure. There is strength in saying, "I do not need an explanation to move on," because that statement reflects internal authority. It says your life is not paused while waiting for someone else's awareness. When you stop needing closure, your emotional vulnerability decreases dramatically. You stop chasing people who pull away. You stop begging for clarity from people who refuse to communicate. You stop attaching yourself to unresolved endings. Instead, you accept, you adapt, you continue. This mindset also prevents overreaction. When someone disappoints you, instead of spiraling into confrontation, you begin observing patterns. Ask yourself, is this consistent behavior? Is this aligned with what I want around me? Then make your decision calmly. You do not demand explanations for every disappointment. You evaluate, you adjust. Staying unbothered does not mean you never feel hurt. It means you refuse to let unresolved situations trap you. It means you refuse to hand your future over to confusion from the past. You can acknowledge pain without replaying it endlessly. You can learn without obsessing. You can let go without seeking revenge. That is closure. Self-created, quiet, final. When you master this skill, emotional independence grows. You stop waiting for apologies to feel worthy. You stop waiting for explanations to feel stable. You stop waiting for perfect endings before moving forward. You decide. And that decision restores your power. Life will not always provide neat conclusions, but it will always provide an opportunity to choose your next step. Choose it calmly. Choose it without resentment. Choose it without needing permission. And you will remain unbothered even when the story does not end the way you expected. Chapter 6. Become comfortable with discomfort. Most emotional reactions are not caused by the situation itself. They are caused by discomfort. The discomfort of criticism, the discomfort of being ignored, the discomfort of uncertainty, the discomfort of not being in control. And because discomfort feels unpleasant, the natural instinct is to eliminate it immediately. You argue to remove tension. You explain to remove misunderstanding. You react to remove pressure. But in doing so, you often create even more instability. The ability to stay unbothered depends largely on one skill: your tolerance for discomfort. If you cannot tolerate discomfort, you will always react. If you can sit with discomfort without falling apart, you become powerful. Think about physical training. When someone begins lifting weights, their muscles burn, they shake, they resist. If they stop the moment discomfort appears, growth never happens. But if they endure that tension for a little longer, strength develops. Emotional growth works exactly the same way. The discomfort of being misunderstood, the discomfort of silence during an argument, the discomfort of not defending yourself immediately. These moments feel intense, but they are also training. Every time you resist the urge to react, you build emotional strength. Let's break this down practically. Imagine you're in a conversation. Someone challenges you publicly. Your body responds first. Your heart rate increases. Heat rises into your face. Your thoughts begin racing. The discomfort shouts, "Say something." Defend yourself. Now imagine doing something different. Instead of reacting, you breathe. You allow the discomfort to exist without immediately acting on it. At first, this feels unnatural, but then something interesting happens. The discomfort reaches its peak, and then it begins to fade. You discover something important. You survived it. You survived the moment without needing to prove anything. That experience builds internal confidence. Each time you tolerate discomfort without reacting impulsively, you reinforce a new identity. I can handle pressure, and that identity shapes your future behavior. Many people mistake calmness for personality. They assume some people are naturally composed. In reality, composure is usually the result of repeated exposure to discomfort. The calm person has simply practiced sitting with emotional tension long enough that it no longer overwhelms them. There is a concept in psychology known as exposure adaptation. When you repeatedly experience something uncomfortable without a catastrophic outcome, your nervous system adjusts. What once felt threatening begins to feel manageable. You can apply this principle intentionally. If silence makes you uncomfortable, practice silence. In conversations, resist the urge to fill every gap. Allow pauses to exist. If criticism makes you uncomfortable, practice hearing feedback without immediately defending yourself. Instead of countering instantly, say, "I'll think about that." If uncertainty creates anxiety, practice making decisions without analyzing every possible outcome. Small exposures create resilience. Over time, discomfort stops controlling you. Another major source of discomfort is social tension. You may fear awkwardness, you may fear rejection, you may fear disapproval. So you compensate, you talk too much, you explain too much, you apologize too much, all in an attempt to escape the feeling. But what if you allowed awkwardness to exist? What if you allowed someone to disapprove? What if you allowed tension without rushing to erase it? The world does not collapse. Your nervous system may react initially, but it settles, and with repetition, it settles faster. This is how you become unbothered, not by avoiding difficult situations, but by experiencing them calmly and discovering that you can survive them. There is also discomfort in growth itself. When you begin setting boundaries, some people may react negatively. When you become quieter, some people may interpret it as distance. When you stop participating in drama, some people may try even harder to provoke you. That social friction feels uncomfortable, but it is also evidence that old patterns are changing. Staying unbothered sometimes means accepting temporary discomfort in exchange for long-term peace. You may feel misunderstood, you may feel tension, you may feel tempted to return to old reactive habits. But if you endure that discomfort, stability gradually becomes your new normal. Discomfort is not danger, it is simply unfamiliar. Your brain often labels unfamiliar emotional states as threats, but when you repeatedly sit with them, they become familiar. And familiarity reduces fear. Another powerful practice is physical discomfort training. Cold showers, intense exercise, breath control exercises. Why do these help emotionally? Because they teach you how to remain calm while your body experiences stress. You learn that discomfort does not equal catastrophe. You learn that you can breathe through intensity, and that skill transfers directly into emotional situations. When someone speaks harshly, it can feel like cold water hitting your skin, but instead of flinching, you breathe. Instead of reacting, you regulate. Instead of escalating, you steady yourself. Discomfort becomes manageable. There is a quiet pride that comes from knowing you can handle emotional heat. You do not need to escape it. You do not need to fight it, you can endure it. And endurance creates freedom. Because when discomfort no longer terrifies you, people lose the ability to control you through pressure. They cannot easily provoke you. They cannot easily intimidate you. They cannot easily destabilize you. You become grounded. This does not mean you enjoy discomfort. It means you are no longer threatened by it. And that distinction changes everything. Life will continue testing you through delays, through criticism, through conflict, through loss. You cannot eliminate these experiences, but you can expand your capacity to handle them. The more you expand that capacity, the less reactive you become. The less reactive you become, the more unbothered you feel. And the more unbothered you feel, the more powerful you appear. Because true strength is not loud, it is the ability to remain steady when things feel uncomfortable. That steadiness is built in moments when you choose endurance over impulse, and every time you make that choice, your emotional foundation becomes stronger. Stronger than tension, stronger than pressure, stronger than discomfort itself. And when discomfort no longer controls you, life's tests lose much of their intensity. You remain centered, unshaken, unbothered. Chapter 7. Stop needing to win. Every argument. There is a subtle addiction that keeps many people emotionally unstable, the need to win. Not just in competition, not just in business, but in everyday conversations. Someone disagrees with you. You feel tension. You prepare your defense. Because losing an argument can feel like losing status. It can feel like weakness. It can feel like surrender. It can feel like defeat. But here is the reality. Winning arguments often comes at the cost of peace. Every time you insist on proving a point, you escalate the emotional energy. Your posture tightens. Your tone sharpens. Your thinking narrows into one question. How do I defeat this? And in that state, your nervous system becomes activated. You are not calm. You are competing. There is a difference between standing your ground and fighting for dominance. Many people confuse the two. Standing your ground is quiet, clear, firm. Fighting for dominance is emotional, defensive, reactive. The unbothered person understands something powerful. Not every disagreement deserves engagement. Sometimes the strongest move is strategic disengagement. Let's examine what really happens during arguments. Very few arguments are actually about facts. Most arguments are about ego. Two people protecting their identities. Two people trying to assert control. Two people trying to avoid feeling wrong. When you feel the urge to win, ask yourself, what am I protecting right now? Is it truth or is it pride? If the answer is pride, pause. Arguments driven by pride rarely create growth. They usually create tension. There is a quiet confidence in someone who can calmly say, I see your point. Or, we can disagree. Or even, let's leave it there. Those responses are not signs of weakness. They are signs of control, because you are choosing not to be pulled into an unnecessary emotional exchange. Consider a scenario. A colleague misrepresents your idea during a meeting. You could interrupt sharply and correct them in front of everyone. Or you could wait, respond calmly, and clarify your point without hostility. Both approaches address the issue, but only one preserves your composure. People tend to remember tone more than content. If you maintain a steady tone under pressure, you build authority. If you react emotionally, even when you're correct, you weaken how others perceive you. Staying unbothered sometimes means accepting that another person may feel right in the moment, and that's okay. You do not need to correct every narrative immediately. You do not need to dominate every discussion. You do not need to have the last word. The last word rarely determines long-term respect. Consistency does, calmness does, composure does. There is also a deeper psychological layer to this. Every time you argue intensely, you reinforce emotional reactivity in your brain. The more you fight, the easier it becomes to fight again. But when you practice restraint, you strengthen emotional regulation. Each controlled response builds discipline. Another important truth, you cannot reason someone out of a position they did not reason themselves into. Some arguments are not driven by logic. They are emotional attachments disguised as logic. Trying to win those debates drains your energy. If someone is committed to misunderstanding you, debating them rarely changes anything. Instead, evaluate how much energy the situation deserves. Ask yourself, is this discussion productive, or is it simply escalating because of ego? If it is ego, disengage. That does not mean avoiding all conflict. Some conversations require firmness, some situations require clear boundaries, but firmness does not require aggression. You can be direct without becoming reactive. You can calmly say, "I disagree. That doesn't work for me. Let's move forward," without raising your voice, without escalating your tone, without creating internal chaos. This kind of calm directness often disarms people. Why? Because emotional escalation requires two participants. When one person remains steady, the intensity naturally decreases. There is also wisdom in allowing others to think they have won. If the outcome has no meaningful impact on your life, why fight for it? If someone insists on being right about a small detail and it changes nothing important, let it go. Energy is limited. Spend it where it creates meaningful results. Winning an argument rarely changes the course of your life. Maintaining emotional stability often does. When you release the need to win every exchange, something surprising happens. You become lighter. Conversations stop feeling like battles. Disagreements become less threatening. Criticism feels less personal, because you no longer view every interaction as a competition. You begin viewing it as an exchange of information, and information does not threaten your identity. It simply informs it. There is strength in quiet certainty. You do not need to loudly prove that you are right. You do not need to dismantle every opposing viewpoint. You know what you stand for. And that is enough. Over time, people notice. They notice that you do not get pulled into drama. They notice that you do not escalate unnecessarily. They notice that your tone remains balanced. That steadiness builds quiet influence. Ironically, when you stop trying to win every argument, you often gain more respect. Because people trust those who are emotionally stable. People feel comfortable around those who do not turn disagreement into warfare. The unbothered person does not fear being wrong. They see being wrong as an opportunity for growth. They see disagreement as perspective. They see conversation as collaboration rather than combat. Life will constantly present opportunities to argue. Online, at work, in relationships, you can accept every invitation, or you can choose carefully. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Will this change anything meaningful? Does this support my long-term stability? If the answer is no, step back. Allow silence to end the exchange. Allow maturity to override ego. Allow calmness to override impulse. Because in the end, the goal is not to win every argument. The goal is to maintain control of your emotions. And sometimes the way you maintain that control is by choosing not to fight at all. That choice is power. Quiet, controlled, unbothered. Chapter 8. Protect your energy like a leader. Your emotional stability is directly connected to one thing: energy. Not time, not intelligence, not even opportunity. Energy. How much of it you have, where you spend it, and who receives it. Most people are not emotionally unstable because life is overwhelming. They are unstable because their energy is scattered. They give attention to every notification, every comment, every disagreement, every piece of drama. And attention is life force. Where attention goes, energy follows. If your attention is constantly being pulled outward, your internal state becomes fragile. You wake up calm. Then you check your phone. A message irritates you. A headline frustrates you. A comparison triggers insecurity. Before the day has truly begun, your energy is already leaking away. To stay unbothered, you must become selective. Leaders understand this naturally. They do not respond to everything. They do not enter every debate. They do not involve themselves in every emotional exchange. They protect their focus. Because focus creates clarity, and clarity creates calm. Imagine your energy as a limited daily budget. Every reaction costs something. Every argument costs something. Every mental replay of an old conversation costs something. If you overspend emotionally during the morning, you become depleted by the afternoon. Then even small inconveniences begin to feel larger than they really are. Emotional control becomes harder when energy is low. This is why protecting your energy is fundamental. Start by observing where your energy leaks the most. Is it social media? Is it certain people who constantly complain? Is it excessive overthinking? Is it endless news consumption? Not everything deserves your emotional investment. One of the strongest habits you can develop is controlling your inputs. Limit unnecessary exposure. You do not need constant updates. You do not need to read every comment. You do not need to participate in every debate. When external noise decreases, internal calm increases. Silence is restorative. Another major source of energy loss is emotional rumination. You replay what someone said. You imagine what you should have said. You rehearse future situations that may never happen. All of this consumes mental bandwidth. Ask yourself, is this thought productive? If not, redirect your attention. Not through force, through focus. Shift toward a task. Shift toward movement. Shift toward something tangible and useful. Leaders operate with intentional focus. They deliberately choose where their attention goes. They ask, what matters most today? And then they protect it. Protecting your energy also means protecting your boundaries. If someone repeatedly disturbs your peace, adjust your proximity. You do not need dramatic confrontations. Sometimes the solution is a subtle reduction in access. Less exposure, less engagement, less emotional availability. Boundaries preserve energy. Energy preserves composure. Another essential aspect of protecting your energy is physical care. When you are exhausted, emotional regulation weakens. When you are physically drained, irritability increases. When you are overstimulated, patience decreases. Taking care of your body is not separate from emotional mastery. It is a critical part of it. It supports it. Calmness depends on physiological stability. Breathing practices play a significant role in developing that stability. When stress increases, breathing often becomes shallow and rapid. As breathing becomes shallow, tension grows. As tension grows, emotional reactions become stronger. Slow, controlled breathing sends a signal of safety to the nervous system. And when the nervous system feels safe, emotional urgency begins to decrease. A truly unbothered person does not rush internally. They maintain a steady rhythm regardless of what is happening around them. Protecting your energy also means knowing when not to respond immediately. Just because something feels urgent to another person does not mean it must become urgent to you. Delaying a response is often a strategic decision. It gives emotions time to settle. It gives clarity room to emerge, and clarity prevents unnecessary escalation. You do not need to match another person's urgency. You do not need to mirror their intensity. You do not need to absorb their emotional volume. Matching energy is reactive. Maintaining your own energy is leadership. There is also tremendous power in solitude. Time alone restores emotional balance. It gives you space to process experiences without external influence. In solitude, you reconnect with your own standards rather than other people's expectations. That reconnection strengthens your identity, and a strong identity stabilizes emotion. When you know who you are and what matters most, distractions lose their power. Criticism feels smaller, drama feels less significant, noise feels more distant. Your emotional system becomes less vulnerable to external triggers because it is no longer overloaded. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is responsible. If you allow constant emotional drain, reactivity becomes inevitable. If you preserve your energy, steadiness becomes possible. Steadiness builds influence. Influence creates impact. Life will challenge you through distractions just as often as through conflict. Endless stimulation, endless comparison, endless opinions, endless commentary. If you allow all of it unrestricted access to your mind, stability gradually erodes. But when you filter intentionally, you create inner quiet. And inner quiet is the foundation of being unbothered. You cannot control how loud the world becomes, but you can control how much of that noise enters your mind. Choose carefully, guard your focus, protect your emotional bandwidth. Spend your energy on growth, spend it on meaningful relationships, spend it on purposeful action. Do not waste it on impulsive reactions. The calmer you become, the more some people will project intensity toward you. Calmness can feel uncomfortable to chaotic individuals. They may try to provoke you. They may try to disrupt your peace. They may try to pull you into their emotional storms. But when your energy is protected, you do not absorb their chaos. You observe, you evaluate, you choose. That is leadership, not loud, not aggressive, simply composed. When you manage your energy wisely, staying unbothered becomes significantly easier because you are no longer emotionally depleted. You are stable, centered, in control. And from that place, life's challenges lose much of their power over you. Life will continue to test you, not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Through criticism, through misunderstanding, through discomfort, through silence, through unexpected loss. That reality will never completely change. What can change is how you meet those tests. Throughout this journey, you have discovered something powerful. You do not become unbothered by eliminating problems. You become unbothered by mastering yourself. You learn to stop taking everything personally. You learn to create space between feeling and reaction. You learn to allow people to misunderstand you. You learned emotional detachment. You learn to create your own closure. You learn to tolerate discomfort. You learn to stop fighting every battle. You learn to protect your energy. Each of these lessons strengthens the same foundation: internal control. When you stop reacting impulsively, you conserve power. When you stop chasing validation, you regain stability. When you stop needing the final word, you develop authority. And when you stop allowing external events to dictate your emotional state, you step into a different version of yourself. A steadier version, a quieter version, a stronger version. Being unbothered does not mean life suddenly becomes easy. It means you become grounded. There will still be moments when anger rises, moments when disappointment arrives, moments when frustration surfaces. But now you know how to respond. You pause, you breathe, you observe, you choose. And that choice changes everything. Most people live in reaction mode. Their mood shifts with every comment. Their confidence shifts with every opinion. Their peace shifts with every inconvenience. You no longer need to live that way. You can enter tense situations without tightening internally. You can hear criticism without collapsing. You can face uncertainty without spiraling. You can sit in silence without feeling threatened. That level of composure is rare. And rare qualities create powerful lives. The calmest person in the room often possesses the greatest control, not because they dominate others, but because they are not dominated by their own emotions. When you are not easily triggered, people lose leverage over you. When you are not easily offended, opinions lose power over you. When you are not easily shaken, chaos loses influence over you. You begin moving differently, more intentional, more measured, more strategic, and that presence changes how others respond to you. Calmness commands respect, not loudness, not aggression, not emotional intensity. Calmness. The kind of calmness that comes from knowing you can handle pressure. The kind of calmness that comes from understanding that not everything deserves your energy. The kind of calmness that is built through practice rather than handed to you. But remember this: emotional mastery is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice. You will still encounter triggers. You will still feel the urge to react. You will still experience discomfort. The difference now is awareness. You recognize the wave before it carries you away, and through that awareness you regain control. So here is a simple challenge. For the next 72 hours, practice 3 things. First, pause before reacting, even if the pause lasts only 1 or 2 seconds. Second, allow one misunderstanding to exist without immediately correcting it. Third, walk away from one unnecessary argument. Pay attention to how different you feel. Notice how much energy you conserve. Notice how much calmer your mind becomes. Small practices create lasting identity shifts, and over time, you will notice something subtle but powerful. Situations that once triggered you will no longer affect you as strongly. Comments that once bothered you will begin to feel neutral. Silence that once felt uncomfortable will begin to feel stable. You will realize that life still tests you, but it no longer controls you. That is freedom. Not freedom from problems, but freedom from emotional captivity. When you reach that point, you stop chasing external peace. You begin embodying internal peace, and internal peace is difficult to shake. Carry these lessons with you, not as motivation, but as discipline, not as inspiration, but as identity. Become the person who does not react impulsively. Become the person who does not argue unnecessarily. Become the person who does not chase explanations. Become the person who protects their energy. And when life tests you, as it inevitably will, you will remain steady, centered, unbothered. Because the real victory was never about controlling the world. It was always about controlling yourself. And that is a power no one can ever take away from you. For the rest of your life, people will continue to have opinions. Some will support you, some will doubt you, some will misunderstand you completely. Situations will continue to change, plans will fall apart, unexpected challenges will appear, life will remain unpredictable. But none of those things have to control your inner world. That is the lesson at the heart of everything you've learned. Being unbothered is not about becoming emotionless. It is not about avoiding problems. It is not about pretending that nothing affects you. It is about developing the ability to remain grounded while life unfolds around you. It is about carrying your peace into chaos instead of allowing chaos to enter your peace. Every moment offers a choice: react or respond, panic or pause, absorb or observe, chase control or trust yourself. The more often you choose awareness over impulse, the stronger your emotional foundation becomes, and over time, that foundation becomes unshakable. You begin to notice that situations which once consumed your attention no longer deserve it. Arguments that once pulled you in no longer interest you. Opinions that once wounded your confidence no longer define you. You stop giving your energy away so easily. You stop letting every external event determine your emotional state. You stop living at the mercy of circumstances. Instead, you become the source of your own stability. That is real freedom. Because freedom is not having a perfect life. Freedom is maintaining your peace even when life is imperfect. As you move forward, remember that emotional mastery is not built in a single day. It is built in ordinary moments. The pause before responding, the decision not to argue, the choice to let go, the discipline to protect your energy, the courage to remain calm when others lose control. These small moments may seem insignificant, but they shape who you become, and who you become determines the quality of your life. So continue practicing, continue observing, continue strengthening your ability to remain centered. Not because life will stop testing you, but because each test is another opportunity to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your impulses, stronger than your fears, stronger than temporary emotions. The world does not need another reactive person. The world needs more people who can think clearly under pressure, people who can remain steady during uncertainty, people who can lead themselves before trying to lead others. Become one of those people. Walk with confidence, not because everything is certain, but because you trust your ability to handle whatever comes. Walk with calmness, not because life is easy, but because you have trained yourself to remain grounded. Walk with self-respect, knowing that your peace is valuable and worthy of protection. And whenever life challenges you, remember this: you do not need to control everything around you. You only need to control how you respond. That is where your power lives. That is where your freedom lives. That is where your peace lives. Thank you for listening. If this message helped you, carry it with you into your day, your decisions, and your future. And remember, stay calm, stay grounded, stay disciplined, stay unbothered.